Alrighty guys, out here in the wrong color green today. 4440. Gonna do some work on it here for the neighbor. Show you what's going on here and I get back to my place with it. I've talked to several people and just kind of telling them what's happened. Think it might need what they call a top shaft job. The synchronizers are getting bad in the transmission because it gets hard to go into gear when you're in this neutral range, and here it's hard to go into 3 or 2 when you got the clutch in and everything. You just can't hardly get it into gear. But after messing with it there in the driveway for a little bit, I'm not 100% sure that's the problem, but we'll see. From what I've heard, you got to split it and take the cab off of it. But I am going to go about a little different approach on that. I was at a tractor pull a couple weeks ago, and I sat next to a guy who was at a John Deere dealer. He was the service manager at a John Deere dealer in Southern Illinois. And he was saying the way he used to do it, he'd actually just jack the cab up and 6 or 8 inches or so if you can, or jack it up about as up a ways, but keep it so you don't unhook any of the dash stuff, and then just roll the back end out from underneath it, which I think is probably what I'm going to have to do because the forklift doesn't go high enough to get the cab off, and the crane in my shop isn't high enough to get the cab off. So I think that's probably what I'm going to have to do, is just jack the cab up and roll the back end out from underneath it, if that's what it needs, is it, what they call a top shaft job. But we'll get back to you and I'll show you what it's doing here and get back to my place. Alrighty, here is what it's doing. I'm thinking it's something either in the valve stack that releases clutch pressure, the main clutch pressure, so that you can get it into gear. Something's wrong there, or the main traction clutch is hanging up. But I don't know a whole lot about these tractors. I know you guys, or some of you guys out there watching, been around these your whole life. John Stevens, you probably have some good insight onto this, because I know you guys had a John Deere repair shop for a long time. But anyway, here's what it's doing. It doesn't matter if you're in A, B, C, or D, or if you're trying to go into 3 or 2, or if you're even trying to go into reverse for that matter, which I'll show you here in a minute. Leave the clutch out for a second or two, push the clutch in, and start pushing on the lever, and the tractor starts to creep forward. And then after about 3 or, which I'll do it again here, and it takes it about 3 to 5 seconds, just depending, on, I don't know really what it depends on. And then it'll drop right into gear and go, and you're fine. And then you take off and go. And you want to stop. And you're still not stopping. And you're still not stopping. And sometimes you got to push the brake on to kind of get it to where it stops. Other times after a second or two, then it'll release and go. Now if I'm going along here like this, and I'm standing on the brake and push the clutch in, it stops right away. So it's not like it's dumping all the pressure to the clutch, which will go in reverse here, and that's not reverse. I'm down a little bit of a hill here, but we'll get going up a hill and see. Alright, clutch in. You can see it's still going, and then there it released and stops. Out, clutch in, and there it releases. And you can even feel it there for a second. When I went up on the blacktop on the ledge, it was still trying to pull the tractor. You get down here, and if I've got the clutch in for a little while, it'll go into whatever you want it to do. I mean, it'll go through any of the gears, but then it's when you let the clutch out. And then, see there, it One time I had it when it was down in the A range, it held on so long, it got the whole tractor up to speed before it finally dropped into number 2. And here's, you know, what else? So you kind of get in the middle range there, let the clutch out. And you can see it just grinds, and then all of a sudden it just slows down and drops in. Drops right in. And I don't know what causes it to do that. And see there, it didn't want to release right away and couldn't get the thing up into, or it didn't want to come out of A. I'll try it one more time and let it. And it doesn't seem to matter the engine speed either. You know, I was sitting here messing with that, and that didn't really matter at all. See nothing, and then it pops in. It was real bad over at Dad's when it was cold. I couldn't hardly get it to go into gear at all. And then all of a sudden it just releases, and there you go. So you can sit here and kind of jerk on it, and it doesn't really help it. But so I don't know. Well, I'll go in and upload this video and see what you guys think. I'm not going to start on it today, but get a couple opinions first. Alrighty, well, I just got off the phone with my uncle, and he used to be the service manager at the John Deere dealer here in town, and I think we got a little more idea what's going on here. I think what's ended up happening, he runs the auger wagon to this tractor, and I think the clutch has gotten hot, and it's actually warped one of the clutch discs or separator plate or something in the main traction clutch. And so what's happened is you press the clutch in, and because that plate's warped, that piston on the clutch can't get back fast enough, and it's still grabbing and pulling. Doesn't pull a whole lot, but it pulls enough, you know, where the tractor kind of creeps forward and whatnot until that piston gets all the way back. And so it's probably going to need a traction clutch. And then he said, I'm going to get a service manual from him, but I can check pressures here, or check the clutch pressure there on this valve body, and do that, and make sure it's dumping the pressure all the way, and that the clutch just isn't out of adjustment. But that sounds more like what's happening is why it creeps forward, and then all of a sudden it's finally all right. Is once the piston gets back far enough, it can finally release. But so I don't think we'll get into the transmission. It's still got to be split because the clutch is obviously back here, but I think the customer will probably be a little happier to hear that. He was kind of nervous. He said the John Deere dealer told him by the time you go in and do the clutch, or do the top shaft, if that is the problem, top shaft, and then you replace some more bearings and stuff that's probably going to need it with a tractor with 5,900 hours on it. You go and replace all that. He was looking at about $9,000, and he wasn't looking too forward to that. So he ought to like this a little more, but we'll do some more tests here, and I'll put this video up anyways, just give you guys an idea on what's happening here with it. So thanks for watching.